What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here. This is Criminal Minds, Season 12, Episode 6, Elliott's Pond. So, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Obviously there's a lot of reports talking about Thomas Gibson being off the show, everything that happened. I read a couple articles just to see because it gets discussed in this episode, so I decided to look and see exactly what happened. From Thomas Gibson's point of view, it sounds like it wasn't really much of anything. It sounds like, he and the director had a bit of a falling out, or I can't remember if it was director or writer or something like that. But anyway, a little bit of a falling out, a little bit of a half altercation, and he ends up getting fired for it. It kind of sucks, and not just because Hotch is kind of a big character to just get rid of. Like for Morgan, they were setting it up for a while. Pretty much an entire season dedicated to setting up Morgan leaving the show almost. It was a big final farewell. For Hotch, we got 2 episodes this season, and then all of a sudden he's off the show and doesn't sound like he's coming back. So it's kind of disappointing, especially because, I wanted to see more. And the Mr. Scratch storyline, I have no clue what they're going to do with that now because, honestly, Hotch was kind of the centerpiece for all of that. It was Mr. Scratch, and he wanted to get back at Hotch. You could see he messed with Hotch's mind at the end of season 10. So it was kind of setting up for a big showdown between Hotch and Mr. Scratch. Now I don't know what they're going to do with that. So, I don't know. They could do something clever still. But the main thing that I want to talk about, though, because as disappointing as that is, this episode kind of shocked me and how well they managed to talk about it. Because there was an altercation and because they fired him from the show, you would expect them to just, find a reason for his character to be off the show, which, he and Jack are in witness protection now, so that's why Hotch is no longer on the team. He sends in his letter of resignation. And so it's kind of a nice little... It's a way to give Hotch a nice ending, because now he gets to spend a lot of time with Jack, and Rossi says that at the end of this episode. But I was kind of surprised at how it was written into this episode, because the team was talking about it pretty much how most fans are probably going to feel about it. I mean, the scene where Rossi asks Garcia how she's doing, and she just starts going off and saying, I can't believe it just happened like this. I know change happens, but the last thing I got to say to him, it probably wasn't anything clever. I mean, I can't always hang up the phone and expect that maybe the last time that I talked to this person. And it felt like the characters themselves were upset with how Hotch left. And I didn't really expect that. I didn't expect them to treat half of this episode, the team dealing with Hotch leaving the team, and respectfully. And not just in he's off the team, I'm sad about it. No, it was treating it like they were clearly upset. Like the actors themselves seemed very upset about it. I don't know, it felt like it was a very respectful way to handle pretty much Thomas Gibson being kicked off the show. It was more than just, he's off the show, we're sad. It felt like they themselves were pissed that he's off the show now, and even possibly by the way it happened. So, I don't know, the way they handled it was just, it was not at all what I was expecting. It was much more real than I was expecting. But, I mean, honestly, that was just one aspect of this episode. The other part of it was really well done as well. I mean, not necessarily... It wasn't anything that I couldn't see coming. I mean, as soon as... The way they set it up was brilliant. The whole kids being kidnapped by aliens, and then these kids going to research what happened to them. All of a sudden, those 3 kids end up missing. You could kind of tell, okay, yeah, the siblings are possibly behind it. But what I was not expecting was Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor to be one of the siblings. I mean, that's just... that guy looked just like Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor with the bald head. Exactly like him. I don't know how or why, but anyway. But yeah, I could kind of guess, especially whenever they were kind of not showing them. They were kind of, they had the bald head guy, and then they had a girl, and I'm just like, okay, so these are probably the siblings, probably driven crazy because of whatever happened to them. And ultimately, the story is kind of interesting. It's never, unfortunately for Criminal Minds, it's never something that just you're trying to figure it out along with the team. Most of the time, you're watching as the team are using the psychology to figure out what's going on, and most of the time you're not included in that process. But what I liked about this one is just the little bit of mystery surrounding it, in that it wasn't a straightforward, okay, serial killer kills somebody and that's what's going on. No, it was much more. There's a lot of psychology going on in the minds of the people. These two siblings that got kidnapped, possibility of the brother being involved, and it was just, I don't know. It was very well set up. The atmosphere around it seemed a little bit creepy as well as intense at times. And it was a good setup for an episode, I think, overall. There are some episodes that you feel like you're just kind of sitting there going, okay, let's just find out who did it. I see the guy right there. Let's just find out why he's doing it and move on. This one, I was actually intrigued to find out what happened to the two kids. Are they involved in it somehow? If they are, why? What happened to them to cause this? Is the brother involved somehow? There was a lot of intrigue and build-up and mystery that went into the planning in this episode, and it was really well done. On top of that, the emotion that they captured was really well done too. A lot of times you see some of these, the victims, or even at times, most of the time they do get somebody really good that can play a good psychopath to play these villains that they have to go up against. I think the kids were really, they weren't spectacular actors, but they were pretty good for kids. The siblings that grew up and became the kidnappers. That scene at the end, wherever they're hiding under the steps, and then their brother comes down and sits there. It was an emotional scene. I was tearing up a little bit. I'm like, dang, this is kind of touching, even though they're really crazy. I don't know. It was just overall, it was a good episode of Criminal Minds. It wasn't just your typical episode. The stuff with Hotch thrown in, I thought was well done as well. And then on top of that, the biggest news, I think, of this entire episode, Prentice is going to be the new unit chief. I love that. Whenever somebody who comments regularly on these videos told me that Hotch wasn't going to be on the show anymore, asked me, who do you think is going to be the new unit chief? I said, I hope it's Prentice, because that would be, I think she would be a perfect fit for it. And sure enough, that's exactly where they're going with it. I think it's going to be a good dynamic to see Prentice sort of figuring out how to lead a team, because she's worked in so many different areas. You could see she knows how to. It's just a matter of, can she fill Hotch's shoes? Can she do what he does? All the paperwork involved. I'll be interested to see how she can handle that, on top of trying to have a life outside of it. Because as we've seen with Hotch, it's not easy. So overall, I'm happy with this episode. I thought it was a good one, especially considering the 12th season. Sometimes the stories tend to drag on. I want to see what's going to happen with Mr. Scratch now, though. Maybe he'll start obsessing about a different member of the team now that Hotch is in witness protection. Maybe they'll find it in their hearts to bring Thomas Gibson back onto the show for Mr. Scratch's storyline's sake, but we'll see what happens. It's a lot of different things they can do, but I love what they're doing with the team right now. I think they've got a good team dynamic, and really, I think that's their focus right now. They're trying to focus on the team. They're trying to focus on what affects the team and what the team is doing outside of just solving these cases, and that's really important to me. So, really good episode. Looking forward to see what else they've got up their sleeves. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What did you like and dislike about this episode? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Criminal Minds reviews, and I'll see you at the next one. Peace out.